sitting at home. So if you had to give from you as an adult, as an old man, what
I'm old, man. I'm not
what
arguing. I notice I don't argue
if
about
you
it.
I know if you're gonna go give a couple tips in this realm, let's say, to the 14 to 18 or 19 or 20-year-old demographic on this type of stuff. It could be brain diet, it could be environment things, it could be whatever in that realm. What are like a couple pieces of advice maybe that you'd give from yourself or looking back on your own life or from what you see training kids or whatever?
Yeah. So just for the kid or for the families? For the
We'll do
kid,
the
it's
kid.
harder because kids are not smart yet, right? Like it's hard when kids are dialed in, like because there's. Okay, I would say like for a kid, do things like number one is you try to put yourself in environments, but try to do things that are hard, right? Like try to do a challenge of just to see, just to watch, like do like what I did that one time, like 500 burpees straight. It's stupid. It's stupid, but it's so smart because the reference point for me. Because in that, so the point of doing something hard is to put reference points of when was I going to quit? Because you're going to want to. When they can have all those reference points. When am I going to quit? Oh, it wasn't so hard. How do I break up this big goal into a small task? Stuff like that. So I would say find something to do that's hard, um, and do it. Like do it. And at the end of it, you're going to say, okay, it was hard, but it wasn't that hard, or it was ridiculously hard, but I did it, so I can do things. And I use like that burpee challenge for in my head a lot of the times. Just say, yeah, that was hard, but it wasn't the end of the world, right? I would say that you be really, really, really careful who you hang out with.
Oh, that's the golden
But it's
rule.
my biggest
Yeah.
thing because Charlie every now and then he's got great friends. He chooses his friends wisely. But I've watched him because we've made him aware of it that if you hang out with Seabass and Liam Doyle and your hockey buddies that from around here that have a goal of making a team or moving on to the NHL or junior whatever it is, then you're the same mindset. So now when one wants to screw off one day and say, well, let's just go in the have a bonfire and suck 6 beers back. Well, then Seabass is going to say, yeah, great idea, but we got boxing tomorrow. And then one could say, who cares? And then the other one says, well, I do because I want to be fresh and we got sprints and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden your friends can kind of keep you on the right track. If he's with friends from high school, someone says, let's go drink some beer around a bonfire. Everyone says, yeah, 100%. And it'd be like, oh, you only brought a 6-pack? Like, it's going to be right the other way. So that environment, your friends are absolutely the biggest thing for me, who you hang out with.
Yeah.
And, go ahead.
Just let me interrupt you for a sec. So I was talking with one of our guys yesterday, and we're on the way we were driving to the track, and younger kid has had an awesome summer, and I was asking him about some of the kids on his team, like where's this kid, what's he been doing, how's his summer been, whatever, because not all of them were here. And so he's talking to me. He's like, oh, this guy this, and oh yeah, how's his attitude? And I was just asking about some of the guys, and he's telling me, yeah, like I don't know, this guy's kind of been falling off, and this guy, I'm not sure, like he's kind of doing his own thing. He's not as like dialed in as he could be, but these are the guys that he hangs out with, And I was telling him, I was like, man, I know these are your buddies, whatever, but if those are some flags in your head, like that is cancer, dude. That is cancer. You've had a great summer. You've been in a great environment. You've made great steps forward. And now you're going to go back to your team where you're not in this environment as much. And it'll be real easy when you're around. If those are the main sources of information or inputs coming into your brain and that are around you, then that can be a big issue. So you need to be aware. And, one of the things we always encourage guys to do is, listen to podcasts, read books, and a lot of them don't want to do that yet, which is fine. But this is one thing that you can do, is if you look around and your friends are not doing what you're doing, or you're questioning their attitudes or motivations, or you walk away from a hangout thinking like, that was a little bit suspect or whatever. Like, listen to those signals, man. You need to listen to those signals. And I was saying that to the one kid who I was talking to yesterday. Just while you were saying that, it just reminded me of how important that is, man. Because even in high school, like I remember a turning point with one of my friends. We went to there's a corner store when I was like grade 7 or 8, and everybody rides their bikes around in the summertime, right? Nobody can drive yet, so were riding our bikes in our little clan. And one of my best friends at the time, two of his friends showed up, and I wasn't really friends with them, but it was like friends of friends kind of thing. And we went to this corner store, and the game was let's see who could steal the most things out of the corner store. And I couldn't do it. I went in, and I was like, I went along with the game, and I went in, and I was just like, I can't take anything. Like I actually couldn't do it.
That's
Like I
awesome.
just froze up and couldn't do it. So I walked around the store like they did, like I was gonna do it, and then I came out and I was just like I couldn't do it, and I was kind of embarrassed too.
Yeah.
Like I came out.
Oh, you weren't cool at the time.
Yeah, I wasn't cool, right? I came out and I was like, man, like am I being soft, or am I just not cool, or what? And this guy's got two chocolate bars. This guy got this and a drink and whatever, and they walked out, and it was fine, and there was no consequence. It was fine. But I remember going home like from that, riding my bike by myself home, just like, what the hell just happened? Like, what was that? Like, I'm not cool with that at all, And that was actually a turning point where I started to not be friends with this particular kid that had been my best friend since probably grade 4. So by grade 9, when I went to high school, I was no longer friends with this guy. And that's obviously a more extreme example. There can be more subtle hints if your best buddies started smoking weed all the time for some reason, or whatever fill in the blank thing they're doing that you are just like, I don't know if I want to do that. It's really important that you listen to those things, man. That is like the golden rule of I don't know if you would want to say being successful or reaching your goals or whatever. It's like your environment, it will shape you, man. It will shape you.
As you're talking about that, and Charlie's very fortunate because he's got three friends that are like really, really close friends that he knows he can't hang out with right now, except for every now and then. And they know that they're not good for him right now. And it's not like they're bad, but they're doing 16, 17, 18-year-old things. Because if they go out to, like I said, go to the bonfire,
no consequence
on Friday night and Saturday and Sunday, it doesn't matter. Outside of that, they might be hungover, or maybe they can be dragging their ass at their part-time job or whatever. But there's no consequence for it. So I love this because I didn't want to say too much because he's got to make his own decisions too. But I'm like, okay, what are you doing? What? He goes, no, Dad, don't worry. All right. He hung out with him twice, I think, this summer. And they say like, hey, Charlie, we're doing this tonight. We know that you probably can't because you've got training, and they say to him to his face that we know like your time is to be dialed in right now. So we're just letting you know what we're doing. And that's good friends. That's good friends, dude. Because you can't be buddies right now. Like you can only be friends from a sort of a distance, but they got his best interests at heart. Right. Those are good friends.
That's a good. Sorry, I have to cut you off.
Okay.
That's a really good point too, because all of this is not to say that people that aren't aligned with what you're doing, that doesn't make them bad people. It doesn't mean that just because they're doing something that you're not doing, it doesn't necessarily mean they're trying to drag you down and keep you from. Because that's another thing that you could do is, it would be really easy if you have friends like that to go to them and be like, well, you guys are idiots. Like, I can't hang out with you because you guys are being losers. Idiots. And they're not. They're just
not focused hockey players at 17.
Exactly. Right. So that's an important thing to point out. If you have friends that are like that, where it's like, yeah, I know you're doing this thing. We're doing this. I know you can't do that right now. So like you do you, we'll still be buddies when your time comes that you can come and hang out with us or whatever. Those are still good friends. Like it's not necessary that everyone is doing exactly what you're doing to the same degree and completely dialed in. It's just you have to be able to pick your spots of where, who you're hanging out with and when you're doing which things and when it's appropriate to hang out with certain people and all that. And it doesn't make people, it's not necessarily true that they're bad people. That's an important thing to point out, right? It's just people are on different paths and you have to pick your path. you know? And some people are going to be doing things that you shouldn't be doing, and they're trying to bring you down, and they are losers and they don't care. And if they bring you down, all the better for them, because they're not happy with their own life and all that. That can be the case. But there's some other people that just they don't prioritize working out because they don't need to. Like, what do they have to work out for? You know? So that's an important thing to keep in mind.
Well, that environment thing, it's a snowball effect, because like if you when you hang out with people that are not like minded, then all of a sudden it's, yeah, let's go to the bonfire. On the bonfire, let's stop at McDonald's. Let's do this. Let's get a bag of chips. Let's do this, and then instead of doing one bad thing, and then you're up till 2 in the morning, instead of one bad thing, or not bad, but one thing that's not ideal, you're doing 12, and then that's just not a good thing.
Yeah, for sure.
The other thing I would say to do is there's two things: is force yourself to create a habit, and that's, I would say, that be your workout thing, right? And then the other thing would be, you have to put the stuff in your mind, put good things in your brain. You don't have to read. You should read something, like, but again, that's a habit. Like, just I'm not talking about read a 400-page book every night. I'm just talking about reading 10 minutes or one page of a titled book that
Something
says,
you like.
for example, the book "There's No Plan B in Your A Game." That's a pretty interesting title. You don't have to read the whole thing, but if you read a page a day, or 5 minutes, 10 minutes a night, there will be huge benefits in that. You don't have to like it. You don't have to like it, but if you do it, your brain will change. When you are watching things like "What Do You Want to Be?", like, that's what I say. Watch a boxing documentary. Watch a who's your favorite player. Find out, or players, and find out if is there anything backdoor, what's their story. Read about them and learn what they do, how they did it, and that stuff just fuels the brain a little bit. But ESPN 30-30s, those are phenomenal stuff.
Yeah, just on that too, like the information that you're listening to or reading or whatever. If you say that you care about being a hockey player, like, you care about that anyways. So why not listen to, watch, read things that are what you care about, you know? And all those things that are related to being a hockey player, you'll find them interesting. You'll like reading it. Like, if you're telling me if you're a hockey player and you watch the Rocky movie, you're not getting fired up.
No, 100%.
It's like you're getting fired up.
Yeah, watch round
You
14.
know? Exactly. You know,
Or 12,
so
whatever it is.
and that could be something that you're reading. It could be something that you're listening to. It could be whatever. So instead of, being at home, I don't know what I do when I'm at home, and you just mindlessly scroll. It's like, why not just take that time, and you can keep scrolling, but just scroll on things that actually relate to the thing that you say you care about.
Yeah.
Because it'll all just help.
Yeah, so like, if you're on online, you can't find, let's say your favorite player is Josh Anderson, right? You can't find anything really outside of him hitting people. That might inspire you enough, but you don't know the background. It can be hard. But that's why it's important to be, like, it's environment again, but being around the people, right?